Hi everyone, welcome to yet another Wellness Wednesday session. I'm sure you all must have gone through the topic for today, that is food, storage, refrigeration, and preservation. Um, how often do you cook your meals for the entire week and just pop it in the fridge? That okay, I am sorted for the rest of the week, and now I just have to take it out. I just have to eat it, and you feel super duper healthy. Well, I've also been there. But recently, I came across a conversation with a colleague where she broke my thought bubble and told me that actually there are different ways of storing food and there are different ways to do it, which sometimes are correct and sometimes we might not be doing the right way. So here we have Priyanshi today with us, who will help us break down how you can, retain all the nutrients in your food, be super duper healthy while you follow the right methods of storing, refrigerating, and microwaving your food. So just a little context about the speaker, Priyanshi. Priyanshi Bhatnagar is the brilliant mind behind detoxfree.in. She's a maestro in nutrition and was awarded with Top Nutrition Business Leader 2021, and she's adorned with the IFA Most Trusted Nutritionist of 2023 accolade. Expect an evening of spilling the beans on how kitchen choices impact your nutritional symphony of meals. In this webinar, Priyanshi dives deep into the epic battle between refrigeration, improper storage, and microwaving, all with the backing of science. Over to you, Priyanshi. Priyanshi, I'm not able to hear you.
Am I audible?
Yes, now I can. Awesome.
Awesome. Firstly, I want to be thankful for having me here, and it's a platform to share my expertise with all the people who are watching this webinar. So today we are talking about nutrient loss and nutrient prevention. We all are heading towards a healthy lifestyle, but there are certain small steps which lead us to understand our steps are healthy or not. I will try to make this webinar in a mixture of Hindi and English so that people can understand more better. But if you want to make it in a one language, do let me know during the presentation as well. So, okay. So, nutrient preservation in refrigeration. So in our busy lifestyle, especially in the working lifestyle, everyone is using refrigerator in a mass, and refrigerator is becoming like a boom for every Indian household to make food preserve for long, because we in the busy life we don't have even time to go every day outside to bring fruits and vegetables, and a lot of meals can preserve in long run, from your milk products to your meat products to your everything. So, before digging deep into how food process and how food impacts, first we have to understand how refrigeration is working with your food. So, let me first explain you how refrigerator works. So, refrigerator make sure that there is no humidity inside the refrigerator. So, the spoilage of food comes very less in the refrigerator, but that spoilage varies from nutrient to nutrient. So, starting with your impact of refrigeration on your vitamins. We eat fruits and vegetables, and especially we store our fruits and vegetables in the refrigerator, right? So, and we need fruits and vegetables for our micronutrients, which includes vitamins. So, main three vitamins which are actually increased, and shelf life is more, increased when you refrigerate them, which include number one, vitamin C. If you have noticed, most of the people store lemon, oranges, and more vitamin C rich fruits in the vegetable, especially strawberries, bell peppers, kiwi, lemon, orange, grapefruit. So all these water soluble vitamin C fruits are sensitive to heat and light. If you remember, we are advised not to keep fresh fruits and vegetables in front of the sunlight, because vitamin C rich fruits are sensitive to heat, light. So when you keep them away from heat and light and keep it in the cold environment, which is available in the refrigerator, then the nutrients are preserved for long life. So vitamin C is always beneficial to stored in the cold environment. And in today's world, we can either keep in the refrigerator or any of the cold environment. So, keeping vitamin C rich fruits and vegetables which are water soluble, that means they don't want humidity, they want in a dry environment, is beneficial for your vitamin C storage. Moving to vitamin B. B vitamins are many, which includes riboflavin, folic acid, and so many other acids. So B vitamins are again water soluble and again are sensitive to heat and oxidation. But if you refrigerate it, then the foods, vitamin B rich foods are also preserved for long, which include fish, meat, and your even whole grains. So most of the people who are into seafood, and whenever you go out, you see the fish and all the seafood are stored in the either deep freezer or in a normal freezer, but always in a cold environment. Oh, it's never stored in any of the hot environment. So the main thing is you have to always keep vitamin B rich food in the refrigerator so that it's preserved for long. Moving to vitamin A, vitamin D, and vitamin E. Vitamin A is mostly and abundantly found in apples. Vitamin D, which we all know, is found in all the dairy products, which include your milk, your yogurt, and lot of other dairy products, and even cheese. So all these vitamins are fat soluble, but again, they are also not good for heat light sensitivity. So all these things are kept in the refrigerator so that the shelf life is increased and the nutrient loss is minimized because of no availability of heat light exposure to them. The good examples which we can obtain from all these things is, if you have noticed, if you keep lemons in the refrigerator, the shelf life is increased comparative to if you keep lemons outside the refrigerator. Similarly, milk is spoiled once you keep out. Milk is always kept in the refrigerator. And the biggest example of milk and all the dairy products is, if you can see, Amul, Mother Dairy. The big giant chains are keeping all these dairy products and procuring the nutrients in the refrigerator just because they understand that vitamin D can be preserved for long in the refrigerator, in the cold environment. So temperature is a matter of food preservation of nutrients or spoilation of nutrients. So if we keep the things in the right temperature, then these three vitamins can be procured for long life. So impact of refrigerator on vitamins is certain examples I've shared with you so that whenever you keep certain fruits and vegetables, you should understand which vitamin is impacted and it will be increased and which will be lost if you keep outside of the refrigerator. Now moving to the next slide, if we see impact of refrigerator on minerals, then like I said, micronutrients we are talking. In micronutrients, we have two categories. One is the vitamins, another is the minerals. Minerals are inorganic compounds that are not at all impacted by refrigeration. That means if any of the things you are keeping in the refrigerator, so the mineral content is always enhanced. The biggest example is a spinach. If you keep spinach in the sun, it will be spoiled. But the moment you keep spinach in the refrigerator, and if you have seen, many people are keeping frozen peas, frozen corns, and frozen spinach just because their content of mineral is remaining the same, so that the quality and the nutrient value is the same, but also they are increasing and procuring the nutrient value for long run. So, even a study is published in the Journal of Food Science that refrigerated spinach retained 99% of its calcium content after 2 weeks of refrigeration. While a spinach is stored in the room temperature, 98% of its calcium is content. That means if you compare the temperature and the content of the calcium in the spinach, then you will feel the more you freeze it, the more calcium content is enhanced. But if you keep it in the sun, you will see the spoilage of the spinach. Similarly, there are certain mineral like zinc. Zinc is enhanced when you keep it in the refrigerator, especially if you eat fish, as I said, seafood. Then the zinc present in the fish is always intact when you keep it in the refrigerator. And zinc is always stable and is a very important nutrient which you can enhance it if you get it in any kind of a food. And the best example of zinc is beans. Like whatever lentils and legumes we have, like rajma, like chole, like kala chana, like even the pulses, like any kind of a lentil, if you eat, these all are highly rich in zinc. And the zinc can be stored. Like if you have seen people eat a lot of baked beans, people eat a lot of beans, and they also cook it and keep it a batch in the refrigerator. But when I cook it, I mean only cook it, don't make it like a curry or something. A raw cooked or steamed any kind of a legume, you can store it in the refrigerator and you can use it for at least 3 4 days. In that case, the content of mineral is always intact, but the shelf life is increased comparative if you just keep it outside the refrigerator. So impact of refrigerator on minerals is always enhanced when you talk about the nutrient prevention of the skin. Similarly, if we see the next slide, we understand why refrigerator matters and what is the use of refrigeration. So the most important thing which we everyone want to understand, it's not about the preservation of food, it's also about the extending the shelf life of food. As I said, in this world we don't have much time to go and every day buy fresh fruits. Like every day we can't go and buy fresh apples or fresh bananas. We need to have some solution which is practical and good for your health so that you can store things. So in that case, we need refrigerator as a powerful tool to extend the shelf life of the food, daily food, which includes your milk, fruits and vegetables, and whatever the fresh things you can procure for long. But what matters is the temperature of your refrigerator also plays a major role in your prevention of nutrients. So, refrigeration, we all know, naturally slows down. Like it doesn't kill the nutrients in one go. It takes time to degrade the quantity. So, one thing is for sure, anything which is plucked from the tree will degrade by time. What refrigeration is doing, it's just making the time slow. It just it's just making the time stick slowly. So it just slows down the process. But at the end, anything which is in the nature and you pluck from the direct from any of the plant or a tree, it is gonna degrade, but without any artificial acidifiers or any kind of a preservative. If you keep it in the refrigerator, the process of slowing down the nutrient loss will be stopped for some time. So if in generally you pluck a apple from any tree, it will get spoiled maybe in a day or two. But if you keep it in the refrigerator, the shelf life can be increased by 1 week. So it all depends how you are using the temperature with the food preservation so that the nutrient is lost in a delayed time. So that's the reason the impact of refrigeration do matters in today's world. Now moving to the next slide, we understand why refrigeration.
Sorry to interrupt. Before we move to the next slide, I just have like a quick question. So the other day, I was having a conversation with one of my friends who just moved to US, and it's a completely different lifestyle there, right? A cultural shock. The way they live, the way they eat their
Hmm.
food is very different. And like
Right.
India, we have this, habit of just going down with like a bag to this vegetable mart. You like do a little bit of negotiation. You get your favorite veggies, you come back, you wash them, and you like cook them in a couple of days and you eat it. But if you consider US, since they started with this hectic lifestyle very early on, they prefer canned fruits, canned vegetables a lot. So what do you think about this? Does this also retain a lot of nutrients, or what are your thoughts on this?
See, anything in can is not good. See, as I said, you can't store nutrients in a box, be in the pill form, be in any kind of a packed form, right? We can do one thing. What we Indians are also doing, we are cooking things in a batch. Like I said, we are cooking at least 3 4 days beans in a batch, or maybe sprouts in a batch. Keep it
Yeah,
in the refrigerator and then use it. But in that thing, we are not using any kind of a spices, condiment, acidifier, preservatives. So it's all natural. We have just cooked it. So we have just one of the helping hand for ourselves without killing the real food taste. Because when they use canned, even I know you're right because they use a lot of canned chickpeas
yeah,
also.
yeah.
But that chickpeas have so much of preservative that their shelf life is 1 year to 6 months. which is not possible. So we can extend to a limit, like we can extend the shelf life of one ingredient, lentil legume, for a week max, but not for that. But we are not adding any kind of a water, any kind of a, you know, artificial ingredient into the food so that the shelf life is increased. We are doing it in a very healthy way and in a holistic some way, so that the food is cooked well, procured for long, but also at the healthy at the same time.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome. So now we are talking about impact of refrigeration on other nutrients. We have talked vitamins, we have talked about minerals. Now it's time of other nutrients. There are a lot of nutrients, but we are targeting the main three nutrients, which include antioxidants, polyphenols, and enzymes. We all know antioxidant. What are they? They are very rich. People are selling green tea because they are rich in antioxidant. People are selling berries because they are rich in antioxidant. But what does antioxidant do? Antioxidant protect your cell from cell damage. Every day our cells get damaged. So it's like a, cell protector. That's why we need antioxidants. But the best part of refrigerating antioxidant rich food is its shelf life is also remain same throughout. If you take fresh berries, any, like if you say fresh strawberries, and if you take frozen strawberries, and if you compare the nutrient value, it's not at all loss. The only thing which happened is that because it's frozen, then the texture might be different, but the antioxidant value of any refrigerated berries is same. So refrigeration doesn't impact or doesn't do antioxidant loss when you keep it in the refrigerator. Even shelf life is increased. And so many people ask me, like, what is best? Fresh berries is back or packed? But my thing is, get the fresh berries, keep it in the refrigerator, and freeze it rather than buying compotes or any canned berries which you even don't know, because the fresh berries you got it from nature and you are storing it in the refrigerator without adding any kind of a preservative, acidifier, or any kind of a artificial chemical which can increase its shelf life. On the other side, if you're getting any packed berries which you even don't know what all is put inside the compote of a berry, so freezing the berries is always the best idea. Similarly, polyphenols. Polyphenols are also plant compounds which provide a lot of health benefits. If we ask, olive oil is consists of polyphenols. That's why it's widely used, because it has a lot of health benefits. So refrigerating polyphenols is also good. Like if you have seen olives are always stored in the refrigerator. Why? Because people know, even if you see green olives, black olives, pitted olives, all these olives are always kept in the refrigerator, because even the scientists know, if they want to sell it and they have to keep the nutrient value of polyphenols for long, they have to keep it in the refrigerator with some liquid, so that the it should not be in touch with heat. If you see the bottle also, it's always mentioned that keep it in the cold, store it in the cold temperature. So polyphenols is one of the ingredient, very important nutrient, which is always enhanced when you refrigerate it. And lastly, enzymes. Enzymes can be good and bad. We all know we have good enzymes and bad enzymes, but enzymes are basically protein that catalyze biochemical reactions in food. So breakdown of food, any food, you pick carbs, you pick protein, you pick any of the protein, food. The breakdown of food is done by enzymes only. So that plays a crucial role. Like and enzymes are always best in the cold area. Let's suppose if I talk about eggs, we know the eggs breakdown, right? But if you keep eggs in the outside temperature, and even if you open it, you will see the color, the texture, it's spoiled very easily. But if you keep eggs in the refrigerator, the shelf life is increased from long. But again, it depends which area you are keeping the food, right? Which we'll talk later, because every food has its own place. You can't keep all the food in the refrigerator in the same location. Every food needs certain temperature, and your refrigerator is a smart machine. It's not a normal machine. Every shelf has some certain temperature, from your side gate to your main compartment to a lower compartment. Every shelf is designed so that every food is stored in a right way, so that the nutrient is not lost. So most of people don't know, but they keep everything together. They keep milk, with that they keep food, they keep so many things together, which is wrong, which we will talk in few further slides. But my main point over here is enzymes are also prevented when you keep in the refrigerator rather than keeping food outside the refrigerator. Now, moving to the next slide, the most important thing which we need to understand is how refrigeration slows bacterial growth. So, as I said, what do refrigerator do? Refrigerator is a heat exchanger portal. If you see, the backside of the refrigerator emits a lot of heat because it is creating cold environment in the inside, like AC, which you see, right? So the vents are trying to keep away all the heat, all the humidity, all the warm temperature outside the refrigerator, which results inside the refrigerator you will feel it's very dry, and moisture wise you will feel it's very dry but not humid. That's why if you have seen, if you keep any of the food material inside the refrigerator and the vessel, if you take out the top of the vessel, there's a lot of water droplets is just because there is no humidity, and there is no humidity, the environment is so dry, so that water is out of the food. We know, like, whenever you keep any food, the food shrinks some water, so that water is deposited on the shelf of the vessel. Since refrigerator keeps warm temperature outside, humidity outside, inside is only dry cold temperature. And what does bacteria like? Bacteria are always rise in two things. One is the warm temperature and one is the high humidity, which these two factors are not available in the refrigerator. This results in bacteria can never arise in your refrigerator. If they arise in food, this is due to some another cause, which I'll talk to you later, why bacteria arise in the fridge. But it's never arise in the fridge. Fridge shelf never have bacteria. Maybe that happens because of hygiene issues, which that's a different factor. But if you talk about a clean hygienic fridge temperature will never allows any bacteria to grow, because bacteria can't survive in cold temperature. If I talk about simple example, if you see the spoilage of your vegetables and cooked sabzi dal is done mostly in the summer. In winter, the shelf life is so long. Why? Because even the food can go for long in the cold environment. In the spoilage of any food, even the food poisoning can be done in the summer, the peak heat time, the food is spoiled. A lot of people can see in their own household the things are getting ruined. Even the curd gets spoiled. It gets more sour because the bacteria in the curd also rise because of the warm temperature. But if you keep the same curd in the refrigerator, the bacteria will not even rise, just because refrigerator slows down the bacterial growth. It doesn't allow because of the environment present in the refrigerator. So I hope by this thing you guys understand that bacteria can never arise in the refrigerator, because the refrigerator temperature is usually 2 to 5 degrees Celsius. And if I talk about the freezer, it's always minus 18 degrees Celsius. So anything kept in the deep freezer or a normal freezer is always took a long shelf life to go. Now moving to the next slide, we've talked about the refrigeration slows bacteria. We have talked what factors actually affect your nutrient loss. So by now we understand it's not the refrigeration which spoil the nutrition of your food. It's the other factors. Now, what are the other factors? Number one is storage temperature. What food are you storing in the refrigerator? Some people have a tendency to constantly change their temperature of the refrigerator. Or also some people do one thing, like they're cooking some food, then they're keeping the food first time in the first shelf, then second shelf, then third shelf. So by doing these things, your food is fluctuating. Sometimes it's going to the cold temperature, sometimes it's going to the normal temperature, sometimes it's going to the very high temperature. So when the fluctuation happens, the bacteria rise and kill, but at the end it gets spoiled. So the fluctuation of temperature increase. First thing is the nutrient loss, because of course, in the constant temperature, the nutrients are intacted; they are not affected. But once you see the humidity and then dry, then humidity and dry, it gives rise to the bacteria, and also it gives rise to the nutrition loss. So storage temperature is one of the important factor which people make the food loss. And especially I have noticed many women's, and I mean anyone who is going for any long term, work schedule and something, they cook something, They don't even wait to get it to a normal temperature and then keep it in their fridge. They just suddenly hot to direct cold. So there's a lot of fluctuation. It doesn't go comes to the settle down and then. So in this term, what happened? Something is cooking. Nutrients are intacted. When then it comes closed, like freezed. So this fluctuation of hot to direct cold makes the nutrient loss and also minimize the nutrition preservation in the food. So storage temperature is one of the important factor which we need to understand. Make sure you are making the food transition from hot to normal and then cold rather than just hot to cold or cold to hot. Similarly, if I talk about the humidity levels, now suppose you are cooking something in the cooker. Cooker has a lot of humidity and a hot temperature inside it. You take out this stuff. Suppose you're cooking a dal, you take out a dal, and then this thing will what it will do in a pressure cooker. There's a lot of water coming going, so the circulation of water, the circulation of air is happening. Now in these things, the more you cook, right, the more water is coming and the more water you are adding in in this long process, your nutrition is lost. If you understand, you take a vegetable and you just steam it, and then take the same vegetable and then you cook it in a pressure cooker. You will understand that the more you put a lot of steam, a lot of heat in the food, the nutrition is lost, because the nutrition is lost in the form of evaporation process. Water, heat, evaporation, steam, and it's losing the nutrition. So again, the temperature of cooking of your food matters. So if I talk in a simple layman language, it's not the refrigeration, it's the cooking method you are making which is actually degrading the nutrition of any food. Now again, is storage duration. We all know that refrigerator is good for food, but it doesn't mean you have to just keep it in the refrigerator and use the same food for a week or 10 days. Again, duration is important. Keeping food in the refrigerator for 2 to 3 days, it's okay, but keeping the same food and using the same food at least for 10-15 days is long. People, I have noticed many people, they don't know what they have kept in the refrigerator, and after 1 week they remember, oh, we have kept something in the refrigerator. But by the time you remember, the food has actually lost the nutrition value. So duration of anything is important, and it's always make sure the cooked food has to kept in the front of the refrigerator, so that the cooked food always have low shelf life, because it's cooked, it has a lot of spices in it, so anyways its shelf life is has to be reduced. And the raw food has to kept at the last, so that you can use it, because it's unprocessed, it's whole food. So the longer the food you are keeping in the refrigerator, the shorter the nutrition will be remaining in the food. So storage duration is one of the important factor which we all need to understand. And
Yeah.
lastly, yeah,
Oh, please continue.
okay. Lastly, food preparation. Uh, as I said, if you eat a raw food, is best. Now, if you cut it, chop it, peel it, grate it, when you do all these things, the water is excreted out of any vegetable or fruit. But in that water is the vitamins and minerals which you are losing it. So, if you see the ancestors' time, people are just plucking some fruit and eating it raw, because the water they are eating is just going inside their mouth. But now, the more we make food fancy in the form of grating, cooking, or juicing out, you are reducing the nutrition again. This is a common practice. I've seen people are peeling the fruits, especially apples, and many fruits. So the more you peel it, the more you cut it into pieces and bits, the more you're reducing the nutrition in it. So the more cutting increase the process of oxidation. Even if you see the cut fruit turns ripe, it turns black, just because once the fruit is cut, the oxidation happens, the moisture is lost, and the food is degrading, and the quantity, the nutrition value of the food, maybe it's a fruit, it's a vegetable, it keep on degrading. So
Hmm.
these three, four factors are major important when it comes to the nutrition loss. So it's not only in the refrigeration; it depends how you cook, how long you cook, how long you store, and what is the fluctuation of the temperature of all these food. So the apart from these four things, it's not the refrigerator. Now, now the most important factor now, which comes to our next slide, is how to keep food for long, like the storage tips for keeping the food long without losing the nutrition. And this is my favorite slide because this teach everyone over here like how to store food for the best healthy way in the refrigerator. Number first and the most important thing, we all are aware that we have a last drawers, big drawers, which we can keep it, take it out and keep a lot of things. And that things are not for anything. That things are only and only for your fresh stuff, which is your fruits and vegetables. Because, okay, let me tell you one thing. Start of the refrigerator panel is the normal temperature. As you move down, the temperature increases step by step. And once you reach the bottom of the shelf of the refrigerator, it is the coldest, and that's the reason to keep the fresh food in the last drawer so that your fruits and vegetables are crunchy and also contain lot of nutrients inside. It's not loose because they are kept in the coldest temperature of the refrigerator. So make sure whenever you keep your fruits and vegetables, keep it in the refrigerator at the bottom. But one thing to remember, never mix fruits and vegetables. Always make sure you have a compartment between fruits and vegetables. One side, if you're keeping fruits, keep fruits. But one side, if you're keeping vegetables, keep vegetables. You can't, keep apple and tomato same. You have to make sure that there is a compartment between keeping an apple and keeping a tomato because fruits and vegetables have to vary. Maybe something will affect something so that the things can be might be right more fastly. So, and not all the vegetables are kept in the fridge. You can't keep onions in the fridge.
Yeah.
So these are some basic things which you need to understand. Like some things you can't keep, like onion, garlic. These are raw things. You can't keep them. Other things you can keep in the refrigerator, like And I'll suggest root vegetables are also sustainable in the outside temperature if it's the weather is good. But like potatoes, you should always keep outside. You can't keep it in the refrigerator. But rest all fruits you can keep in the refrigerator so that you can use it in the long term, and always keep it in the coldest drawer, which is the last drawer. Now, next thing is wrapping and covering of your food. I think many people have go to different people guests as a guest, and when you open anyone's refrigerator, you see people have a lot of leftovers kept in the fridge, and they forget to cover it. It's kept open, and it might be a case like any fly can come inside the refrigerator, and it will sit inside your bowl of cooked sabzi or anything. Covering and wrapping of food is the most important hygiene factor which most majority of people are not doing. They're keeping in such a hurry, they're keeping the fruit, any cooked food or any of the thing open. Even it's recommended if you are keeping your leaves like spinach or something, you should cover it in the wrap or any plastic film, because even these raw greens and your veggies like coriander, like spinach, like so many lettuce, these things has to be wrapped. You can't keep it raw because when you take it out, you don't know if any of the bacteria, any kind of a fly, because house flies are normal, if any of the fly or any kind of insect is in the food or not. So covering and wrapping of the food is the utmost important. Make sure you store the food in an airtight container. It will make the shelf life more. It will also make it more hygienic and also reduce the nutritional loss. Lastly, consume food properly, which is whenever you make the cooked food, make sure you consume it first, the raw food later, and the fresh food at the last. So the hierarchy is once the food is cooked, it has to be consumed within a day or two. But if it's raw or if it's just steamed, you can consume it for 3 4 days. And if it's fresh, let's say any fruit or vegetable, then you can consume it at least for 6 7 days. But once you cook it, make sure you eat it well. And some curries are very heavy, then it's my suggestion, don't use the cooked curry, like a well cooked curry gravy from lunch to dinner, but not dinner to the next morning, because in that case especially in the Indian household curries, lot of masalas, more lot of salt, sour, spicy things are added to it. So the more you cook anything, the shelf life is reduced to very less. So less you cooked, keep it long. The more you cook, it's very less to store. So the consumption of food has to be chosen as per the cooking style. The fresh, the longest; the cooked, the shortest. So these three things we have to keep sure in the mind. Now, if we go to the next slide, if we go to the next slide of this, as I told you, what shelf is used for what, and this is the best example. If you see the last shelf, the lower shelf, like the lowest shelf of any refrigerator is with fresh produce, and all the cooked food is at the top, because at the top the temperatures bare normal or more than normal, but at the last of the shelf of the fridge, the temperature is the chilly, coldest. So the fresh produce are always and always recommended to keep at the last. But again, as I said, always keep your fruits and vegetables packed. Like if you see the tomatoes are even packed, they are not, kept open, which usually households do. So if you can't, keep wrap it in a box, you can always have Ziploc poly bags, which are easily available, and this will help you in many ways. It will ease your work also, because if you Ziploc different kinds of vegetables, it will ease your time. And also sometimes in our busy schedule we do chopping at the at the night, and morning we use it. So if you keep all the chopped vegetables and fruits in a Ziploc bag, and Ziploc bags doesn't allow air to come, so in that case oxidation process is not happening, so it's an airtight bag. And if in the airtight bag, the nutrients are contained in a very well way. So keeping the fruits and vegetables in a airtight bag, and in the last drawer, keep your nutrition level of the food for long term. And in we are using it now, but usually in the western culture, if you see, they make a Sunday as the meal prep time. And in meal prep, what they do, they keep all the chopping of fruits and vegetables in on Sunday. But what the best thing is, they keep bags of every day, and which includes the chopped vegetables, chopped fruits. What they have to do, just open the bag next morning. Since it's airtight, the crispiness and the crunchiness of the fruits and the vegetable is intact, and the nutrition value is intact. And then they use the same batch to cook the meal, and they eat it on the same day. So the best part of refrigerator, which you can utilize to maximize your nutrition, is keep it in the airtight container in different batches, and keep it in the last drawer of the refrigerator. That means the crispier drawer, the down side of the refrigerator. Similarly, cooked food. Now, cooked food, as I said, it has to be airtight because it's cooked. And now, if you allow it to keep it open, like in an open bowl or open plate, oxidation happens. Air is going and coming, and it leads to chances of a spoiling of food. But if you keep it in an airtight container, the shelf life is increased, oxidation is not happening, nutrition is not going. So your food is tasty, healthy, and also the shelf life is increased. So understanding the importance of keeping storage, packaging, temperature, there are many factors you have to understand. I'm sure many people have a complaint that food gets spoiled in the fridge also, because you are not keeping it in the right way. You keep it in the right way. If you see the restaurants, if you see the hotels, if you see so many people, they do it in the right way. That's how they are able to make all the things in the right time, because the food is preserved for long. So if you understand this image, you will understand how to keep the food in the right way. Now, if you go to the next slide, which tell us, like, if we keep the we understand till now that how to keep the food and how where to keep the food. Now if we understand what factors actually causes the nutrient loss. So the first option I have already shared with you is the time. The longer you cook, the longer it will take time to get prepared, and in the same time the shorter is the nutrition value. If you compare, if I say one thing, it's like broccoli. It's the healthiest vegetable which you all are available. One is the normal steamed broccoli, and one is the broccoli soup. Do you think the nutrition is same in the broccoli, steamed broccoli, and the broccoli soup? No, it's not. I'm not asking to eat a raw broccoli, but what I'm asking here is to eat a steamed broccoli, which is 10 times healthier than a broccoli soup. Because when you first thing in the soup, you're cutting it, you're blending it, then you're cooking it, then you're putting a lot of spices. In that case, if the steamed broccoli is cooked in just 10 minutes, same broccoli soup is cooked in 1 hour. So let's say if you talk about 1 hour, it's a triple of the time. And in that time duration, the nutrition is losing. So if you are really concerned about nutrition loss, first thing to focus is your cooking. And I know that Indian cooking takes a lot of time to cook, but if we change the way how we cook it, like from proper frying to only just sauteing, or if we just see, like if we soak the things also, then also the cooking time is reduced. If you I'm sure many people are aware of, if you soak any kind of a lentil beforehand, then the cooking time is reduced. But if you again put instantly any lentil in a cooker, then the cooking time is increased. So there are certain measures which makes the nutrition loss less. So one important factor to understand is the time which is involved in the cooking process, which directly affect your nutrition loss. Now, second is the temperature, which includes the same with the time. The more you heat, the more you are reducing the nutrition value. The less you heat, the less you are reducing the nutrition value, because heat is directly proportional to nutrition loss. So time, temperature, and lastly, amount of liquid you are putting in the food, because time, temperature, and now how long you're cooking. And for cooking, what you all need is a water or any kind of a liquid. You can't just cook in a raw pan. So you will add some kind of a liquid. Heat with water, evaporation, steam. That steam takes away all nutrition of the food. So these three factors are the major concern when it comes to nutrition loss. So if we can control the time of cooking, the temperature of cooking, and also temperature of cooking means keep it not in the high steam. Like usually the gas stove is not should be high; it should be medium and less, then the nutrition can be preserved, and also the amount of water you're cooking. And that's the reason microwaves are the best in comparative to the gases, which might feel, you might think it's wrong, but it's true, because when you cook, you add a lot of water, evaporation happen. But in microwave, the microwave heats throughout, but it uses the water which is already present, as in water food loss during the storage. Now if we go to the next slide, we understand, we understand the food storage. But apart from talking about the nutrition loss, microwave is one of the healthiest way to reheat the food, because microwaves take less time. Suppose you have to uh, reheat a dal and you take it out from the refrigerator. If you keep it in the gas, it takes almost 10 minutes to keep to the stagnant hot peeping temperature which you want to eat. And for that you will add more water. So already, once the dal is cooked, the nutrition is lost. But again, if you reheat it, the nutrition is again lost while cooking it, because you are putting water, you are making it to the temperature. It takes 10 minutes easily to reach to a certain temperature by which you eat. Now, same time, if you take the cold dal and keep it in the microwave, it will take maximum 2 minutes, and the dal will be hot, but nutrition will be less lost, because there is no heat, there is no steam. So again, heating it in a microwave safe, utensil is the best option. Lastly, the most important thing above all this thing is how you keep the food, because a lot of food poisoning cases are happening just because of our small mistakes, which can be present in the form of your spoilage of any beverages, spoilage of any carbs, spoilage of any drink. So food storage is one of the important factor, and which includes food combination also, which we can talk it later. But Avi, what I want to make sure you understand is how you store food is important. Now, let's suppose if you have boiled milk, okay, you have heat the milk, let it settle down. But before settling down, if you keep it inside the fridge, the curdling in the milk happens, because milk consists of bacteria, okay? So that results in the spoilage of milk, which you might can't see, but when you drink the milk, people might have indigestion issues, because the bacteria are made but not fully made, so it's not even spoiled. But again, since the temperature variation happens, it doesn't happen to curdling, because if you know what's the curd process is reheat the milk and then keep it in a normal temperature and it will become curd, but you didn't give it the time also. So understanding how to store the food is one of the important factor which we need to understand, like food storage and food hygiene, both the things. And second thing which people don't understand is, when you're keeping the food in any of the utensil, is it clean or not? Do check that also. Sometimes the bacteria are on the utensils which we might have not seen, and sometimes people use same utensil which already kept with some other thing. Suppose if you have a box stored in the fridge, it's filled with dal, you take out the dal and you keep another sabzi in the dal without even cleaning it, because you think we haven't eaten in this, but no, because chemicals and whatever condiments you have used in a dal is different from a sabzi, and there are a lot of different food chemicals, and food composition is very different. So make sure whenever you're storing any food, it should be clean, it should be at the normal temperature, and don't reuse the same utensil. At least use fresh utensil whenever you are keeping any kind of a food in the refrigerator, so that the shelf life is increased and you are also safe, because food hygiene is important factor apart from food storage. So keeping in mind all these points will help you to avoid all kind of a food poisoning stuff. So I just want to cut it down right now, because I feel if someone have any kind of a doubt or something, they can feel free to ask, and I can share more insights on them.
Yeah. Guys, please feel free to drop any questions that you have on the chat box, and Priyanshi will take the questions up. For now, we have a question from Amit Jain. He asks, is microwave rays not destroying the nutrition in the food?
So, microwave, what it does is microwave, if it's a bowl and the rays are coming, but the rays are at very short span of time, and they are not actually, we are not adding anything. So, it's not harmful if you use it in a normal way, and you should use always a microwave friendly utensil. As I said, don't use utensil which is not microwave friendly, because microwave friendly utensils actually absorb the rays also, so the food is just impacted by the heat. And since we are not adding any water, so the water is reduced. If you, when you keep any sabzi in the fridge, you see water is reduced from some vegetables. So that, what the microwave is using, when you heat it, it use the same water, and you can have the same warmth without adding more water, so the evaporation is not happening and the cooking time is less. It's hazardous to use much of microwave also, so that's why it's always recommended to use microwave for limited time. But it's much better when it comes to the cost of reheating. Microwave is not used for cooking, it's the only reheating thing, but people are now cooking in microwave, so there's a difference. You are reheating the food or you are cooking in the food, because cooking a fresh food is a different thing, but
Mm.
reheating the food requires a lot of heat, liquid, temperature, which is again a problematic thing. So using any tool in the right way is never a problem for health.
Yeah. No, that totally makes sense now that you clear that out. Because what we are actually seeing these days are the trend has become that people just pop in like rice and water, and they cook the whole rice in the microwave instead of
Exactly.
the traditional ways of how we used to cook rice. So that
Right.
makes sense a lot. Yeah. Uh, he says thanks. Thank you for your question, Amit. I hope you got your answers. Guys, if you have any questions, please, this is the right time. Take the opportunity, ask anything that you would like to ask Priyanshi. She'll be happy to answer.
One thing I also want to add, which people are not, keeping it, and I have mentioned people feel that it's not the right way. Um like smoothies, people think it's not right, but trust me, smoothies are blending of things, and the best way to have smoothies to keep the food in the freezer, because the frozen food you can keep it for long. Like suppose berries, you can't keep it in the fridge, you have to keep it in a freezer. But
Mm.
make sure, because it's frozen, so it stops the processing of the food. So once you take it out, you have to use it instantly, because if you forget taking it out and then keeping it in the kitchen shelf, then it becomes soggy and the water will lose. Because when you keep it in the freezer now, you also know that ice weighs more than a liquid, so it's in the ice form. When ice will dissolve, it will become in a water form only. So anyone who is storing fruits and vegetables in the deep freezer or any kind of a freezer, the best thing is frozen food has to be eaten constantly comparative to the fresh. If you make a fresh fruit smoothie and if you make a frozen fruit smoothie, the
Mm.
temperature will affect the consistency, but taste will not be spoiled, but consistency will be spoiled.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
So Amit has another question. He
yeah.
is asking, is cooking on gas better
Hmm.
or electricity in terms of nutritional value?
Cooking on gas or
Or electricity. I think he means maybe a microwave or an induction.
Induction, okay.
Yeah.
See, any day gas is better. As I said, cooking in gas is better because you're cooking the food. But these inductions, I will never, much suggest. Microwave is only for reheating. Induction is same. You're adding water, so it takes more time. I think in gas the things is done, easily, and even you can control the temperature. I think induction is more hazardous. So induction is not good, but cooking is good in gas, but cooking and reheating is in microwave is best. So if you're reheating, do it in microwave. If you're cooking, best do in kitchen gas, because anyways gas is better.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, he
Mm.
mentioned it.
Yeah. So induction, kettle, these are shortcuts, but again, the electric radiations spoils the food quality.
Yeah.
Always prefer to cook in gas, and again, I will suggest cook in less time as possible. Don't focus much on cooking. Cooking more focus on eating healthy and cooking as
Hmm.
bare minimal as possible to digest your food well.
Priyanshi, till someone drops a question, I wanted to ask you something quickly. So, I was watching this random YouTube video the other day while scrolling on my phone, and she was just the lady in the video. She was just talking about how you should opt for like a pot, a clay, like
Okay.
earthen pot
Hmm.
for food, and switch from aluminium or
Hmm.
copper. And she was just going on talking about how pressure cookers are really bad for your food
Hmm.
and how it kills all the nutrition. So if you can just talk about that a little.
See, anyways, non-stick is not good for health. Aluminium is not good for health. But iron is the best, I feel, because earthen pot is something, it's a very uh, in earthen pot and in a clay pot, you can't raise the temperature, and there are certain technicalities which is not made. It is made for the traditional chullas and all to cook in that way. And now the quality of clay pot is also, I don't say it's suitable for Indian cooking because it takes a lot of time. See, understand one thing. We are living in a fast-paced world. We don't have a whole day to cook food only. So, clay pot take time. But the best thing which I feel is the iron, cast iron, tawa, cast iron, vessels and all. There are two factors. One is if you're cooking in iron, cast iron, then you are getting iron also in your food because the meals are, involved and getting iron. Even in many households, I've seen people are eating in cast iron utensils only because the cooking is done in cast iron. Non-stick, aluminium, these things are never good. And there's a new trend of drinking water in copper vessel also, you must be aware of, right? So and these are all old things which our grandparents they used to have it, but now everyone is having it. They are saying no to plastics. They are drinking things in glass. They are drinking things in copper vessels. So a lot of old traditional things are happening, and I'm telling you, in future also people will switch to cook eating very Ayurvedic, sattvic food, less oil, less masala. Oil already, red chili is reduced from the food. It's more of green chili. So yeah, like if you see traditionally also the food was cooked in a very less time, and the food was not that spicy and all, and the food was not made in batches also because they were so free, and they used to go every day to the farm, and get the food. Now the things are pretty changed. So if we know how to use the gadgets in the right way, the shelf life can be increased for long. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for the answer. Guys, does anybody else has any question that you would like to ask Priyanshi? Mm, we'll just wait for another minute and see if
No
we have
worries.
any questions. If not, then we'll wrap the webinar up.
Yeah, sure. No problem.
Prachi, how do you prefer your meals? Do you cook in batches, you store them, or do you cook fresh every day? How do you do it?
My way is very different. I still believe in soaking things.
Hmm.
It makes my food very easy. When I suppose I have to, I know like what I have to eat. I do meal prep beforehand. Like if I know morning, next day I have to eat a porridge or something, I soak the lentils everything at night. If I want to have some dal rice, I'll make sure the dal is soaked. So the cooking time is always reduced. Within 15 to 20 minutes, my dal is ready because I've soaked it overnight. So the cooking is reduced. So yeah, I prefer to make it. And even if I want to make things in batches, I just steam it, keep it in the refrigerator, and then I can use it again and again.
Okay.
That's the simplest way I do. I don't just keep the things in the one go.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
that
So
makes a
I
lot.
think that's the bit. And even in the same in the even if you want to make smoothies, I have a sweet tooth, so I love a lot of smoothies and all. So what I do, I keep the fresh fruits, already chopped in my deep freezer in a airtight bag, so that in the morning, summertime I'm talking, morning you just come, just take out, blend it and drink it. So that increases the, healthy options also, and at the same time you're utilizing your refrigerator in the right way.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally. Okay. I don't think our audience has any other questions. So, and we're
Mm,
all,
that shows
yeah,
that shows they understand things very well, I believe.
thanks to how well you explained everything, I'm sure things were very clear.
Glad to know that.
All right, then we'll wrap up the webinar, and we are
Sure.
almost closing the time also.
Yes, we are. Sure. So thank you for having me. Have a nice evening.
Thank you so much, Priyanshi. It was a great session. We're looking forward to having you again.
Thank you so much.